What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here to take a look at Stokastic's MLB DFS Lineup Generator. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. I'm excited about tonight's MLB slate because we have a $5 contest on DraftKings with 50,000 at first. We don't get those very often. Those are slates that I like to play. It's obviously going to be a huge GPP, but fun to play these slates when you don't have to put a lot of money in. You can win a lot of money out of it. I'm also excited about the success we've been having with the lineup generator. I actually didn't play yesterday. We had an early lock at noon Central Time, and I had a busy morning, so wasn't able to play MLB DFS yesterday. But 2 days ago, the last time I played, I got third in a contest of just under 12,000 entries, 20 max contest. So I just had 20 lineups in the contest. Those were lineups I took straight out of lineup generator. I'll show you the exact settings I use, and on these videos I often tell you how I would change things, how I would go back, maybe get rid of, discard some lineups, go find different lineups. I do that often. I wasn't able to on that day because I took over the Stokastic Twitter account, Stokastic MLB Twitter handle, so I didn't have time to really curate it. I just took the 20 lineups that it gave me first, and was pretty lucky that I got those 20 lineups because I got one that was in third place, $3 into $1,000 with that lineup. So that was pretty fun on that night. But even more fun was we had another user who used the lineup generator a different way. He used lineup generator to show him the exposures that he was getting to different players when he used it. And then he hand built a single entry, single bullet he hand built using the exposure that he got out of lineup generator. He took down the main contest for $50,000 with a single bullet. So that was very cool to see, having a little bit of success myself that day, and then also seeing Stokastic users just crushing it using the lineup generator. So that was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can run it back tonight, especially with this contest where it's going to be $5 to win 50,000 on DraftKings. But I'm going to take a look at lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel here. So let's check out what we're getting on DraftKings first. Oh, and I should mention, you can still get lineup generator for 50% off using the link in the description of this video. It's going to be just $4.48 for your first week, $8.95 per week after that. So still a fantastic deal. Again, this is a tool that only gives you good lineups. All bad lineups have been vetted out. They are no longer, you're not going to get them in lineup generator. We have run them through the sims. Only plus EV lineups come out of lineup generator. So you can feel confident when you use it that you're only going to get good lineups. Of course, you want to use it close to lock. I'm doing this in the afternoon. I might get players who are not going to be in the lineup. Ownership can change throughout the day. You want to use this as close to lock as possible. I'm just showing you what we would be getting as of right now. Of course, things are going to change over the next 4 hours. All right, so these are the exact settings that I used. I did all stack types, all lineups. I like to get a mix of chalky, balanced, and contrarian lineups, so I use the all lineup setting. And I don't lock in anybody. I want to let the generator do its thing. All right, so let's take a look at the first lineup we have here. Looks like it is a 4-4 Angels and Blue Jays stack with Chris Bassett here for the Blue Jays. So a little added correlation. Chris Bassett with the stack behind him, a little bit more likely to get the win if the stack goes off. And then Joe Musgrove as the other pitcher. Let's start with looking at Joe Musgrove and Chris Bassett, how they look in the top pitchers tool. So Joe Musgrove, number 2 in terms of top 2 pitcher odds. Chris Bassett, number 4 in terms of top 2 pitcher odds. They are the 2 chalkiest pitchers on the slate. Not a huge concern. I don't really mind if I get to chalky pitchers. Pitchers are just a little bit more projectable than stacks. So even though there's negative leverage here, they are the chalk pitchers. Probably fine as long as your lineup is balanced overall. We get the Angels and the Blue Jays too. Actually, this is a fairly chalky lineup across the board for a 10-game slate. As you can see here, it's on the far chalky side of this. So I might not actually use this lineup if I were to go through it. Of course, you could just play the first 20 you get like I did on Wednesday, and sometimes you're going to have success doing that. But if I work here right now, I probably wouldn't use this lineup. Even though I know it's a plus EV lineup, I just see how chalky it is. And on a 10-game slate, I'd rather probably find some other lineups here. But overall, we've got Bo Bichette here at just 10% ownership, so that's not crazy high. George Springer, 12%. Whit Merrifield, 12%. So, we have some not extremely chalky pieces, but overall, we don't have anybody really bringing down the ownership here. So this would be more like a smaller contest. I probably wouldn't use this in the 60,000 entry contest we have on DraftKings, but in a smaller contest, this one would certainly look okay. As you can see here, high ownership, 188% overall ownership on this lineup, but projects very well. We have a lot of the top spots. Let's check out the Blue Jays and the Angels. Where are they in the top stacks? Number 1 and number 2, we have the Angels with a 19% chance to be in the top stack. Yeah, they are in Colorado. I guess we have a little bit of positive leverage there, so that's probably why we're getting to that lineup. Despite having such high top stack odds, we actually still have a little bit of positive leverage in this matchup in Coors with Kyle Freeland. So it looks like a good lineup. And then we have Toronto, number 2 on the board with a 10% chance to be in the top stack at 13% ownership. A little bit of negative leverage, but great matchup with James Caprillion, and it's in Toronto, not Oakland, so that helps too. So a little bit of a chalky lineup, but again, we know that every lineup we're getting here is plus EV. So I'm nitpicking a little bit when I say I'd probably go back and find a different lineup. You certainly could use this one. We know that over the course of tens of thousands of sims, this turned out to be a plus EV lineup, a lineup that was profitable long term. So you could use this one. I would probably find something different. Yeah, so that last one had 188% total ownership. This one has 109%. So this one much less chalky than the last one. It's a 5-man Met stack with 3 one-offs. What do we have? Yeah, we have Chad Wallach, Ezekiel Tovar, and Fernando Tatis as the one-offs with, a little bit of a lower owned Met stack with Pete Alonso at 5%, Jeff McNeil 3%, Eduardo Escobar 3%. Tommy Pham and Starling Marte, everybody in single digits in the primary Met stack here. And then we just have one-offs. And again, we have the positive correlation of the pitcher backed by his bats. If they go off, he's more likely to get that win. So good to see that as well. Let's see where Kodai Senga is on the top pitchers. He's number 3 overall in top 2 pitcher odds, and a lot of positive leverage there. 5% projected ownership with an 18% chance of being a top 2 pitcher in Philadelphia. Good spot there. So this one I like this lineup quite a bit better than the last one, even though I know the last one was positive EV as well. I prefer this one to that last one. And Mets in terms of top stack odds, down at 4th, but still a 7% chance of being the top stack at just 6% ownership. So a little bit of positive leverage on the Mets as well. Looks good. All right, I'm going to save that one as well. And now I'm just going to go through and save all my lineups and see where we end up. Getting to, it looks like a lot of Angels. Not a surprise. They're in Coors Field facing Kyle Freeland. It's a great spot for the Angels here. All right, so in my first 20 lineups that I ran, I got to 70% Luis Rengifo, 50% Hunter Renfroe, 45% Shohei Ohtani, 40% Mike Trout. Yeah, just across the board, tons of these Angels bats. Do I get all 9? Yeah, I get all 9 of the Angels bats towards the top here in these lineups. Actually, there's only 8 here. 3, 4. Yeah, only 8, but still. Yeah, and then Ender Velasquez a little bit lower down, still at 20% though. So every single Angels bat got to 20% or more. I would probably go back and even it out a little bit. We do have positive leverage on the Angels. It is as good of a spot as it can get for a pretty good offense. So, it's not the end of the world if I end up with this much, but I would probably, at the very least, even if I did use like a ton of Angel stacks, I'd probably want to bring down my Luis Rengifo exposure a little bit from 70%. I'd probably try to bring that down a little bit just because he's not the best bat in the Angels lineup. 70% feels a little bit excessive. So I'd probably go back and get rid of some of those Angels lineups, try to find, or at least some of these Rengifo lineups, try to find some different Angel stacks at the very least, or hopefully even better would be just getting to some different teams' stacks. And then for FanDuel, we'll check those out as well. Again, I'm going to do all stack types. I'm going to do all lineups, and I'm not going to lock in any players. All right, so FanDuel, we get to the first lineup we see here. Looks like it is a 4-2-4-3-1 stack. So we've got a primary Blue Jays stack. Then we've got a 3-man Rockies stack. And then we have a one-off of Mike Trout. So Mike Trout, very chalky here. I guess not a surprise. Again, it's in Colorado for Mike Trout, but 26% ownership on FanDuel. We've got the 3 Rockies, obviously also in Coors Field, and Diaz, Tovar, and Profar, actually at relatively low ownership. Diaz at just 7%, Profar at just 5% in Colorado. That looks pretty good. And then we have the primary Blue Jays stack, which is very chalky here. 27% to Vlad Guerrero, 26% George Springer, 24% Matt Chapman, and then just 10% Whit Merrifield. But fairly chalky stack overall. Let's see how they look in the top stacks tool on FanDuel. Yeah, so Blue Jays number 2 overall in top stack odds on FanDuel at a 10% chance to be in the top stack. Then we have that secondary stack of, we had just a one-off of Mike Trout, a secondary stack of the Rockies, who are number 3 overall in top stack odds, and actually a little bit of positive leverage there. So we're using the chalky Blue Jays, then we use a little bit more contrarian Colorado as a secondary stack, Mike Trout as the one-off, and then Shane Bieber as the pitcher. Let's see how Shane Bieber looks on FanDuel. Number 4 overall with a 7% chance of being the top pitcher. So looks okay there as well. Yeah, it looks like a good lineup. It's a fairly chalky lineup with those Blue Jays, that primary stack. Hard not to be chalky when you're getting this much ownership on the Blue Jays, but still looks like a good lineup. 146% total ownership on that one. It's not even on the far left side of chalky. It's, fairly chalky, but not crazy chalky. We do have some of these Colorado bats bringing down the ownership a little bit. All right, I'm going to save that one. Now this one, a little bit less ownership. We've got the Pods as the primary stack. It's a 4-2-2 Padres, Angels, and Mets stack. We have some lower owned bats here in Ha-Sung Kim at 7% ownership. Starling Marte at 7% ownership, bringing down that a little bit. Pete Alonso, 10%. So not as chalky as that last one. And then we have Dane Dunning as the pitcher at just 1% ownership, bringing it down quite a bit. Let's see where Dane Dunning looks here. Pretty far down the list in terms of top pitcher odds, but still nice positive leverage. Just 1% projected ownership with a 4% chance of being the top pitcher, 6% chance of being the top value pitcher. And he allows you to play all of those expensive bats. Obviously, a tough matchup with the Mets. You're not going to feel comfortable clicking that name using this lineup, but we do still have some positive leverage on Dane Dunning here against the Yankees. And again, he allows you to play all of these expensive bats, the 4,400 Mike Trout one-off, 4,300 Fernando Tatis being the most expensive, and then across the board a lot of fairly expensive bats here, using almost the full salary with Dane Dunning there. So it looks like a good lineup. I'm going to save that one. And then just one more. Okay, we're getting to the Angels again. And wow, Chad Wallach at just 2% ownership here. Luis Rengifo at 10%. Shohei Ohtani at 18%. Hunter Renfroe 26%. Then we have a secondary Blue Jays stack, which is very chalky. 22% Bo Bichette, 26% Springer, 27% Vlad. And then a one-off of Manny Machado at 23%. So much chalkier than the last one. Yeah, this one is on the far end of the chalky spectrum. Not my favorite lineup that I'm going to hear, but again, I am nitpicking. We do have the nice correlation of Chris Bassett with the 3-man Toronto stack. Again, if they put up runs, he's more likely to get the win. That's helpful. All right, so I'm going to save this lineup, and then I'm just going to go through my 20 lineup, see what I get. All right, 65% George Springer. Honestly, to get 65% of any bat, George Springer, not the worst one to get 65% of. It's still probably more than I want, but it's a little bit more reasonable when you're getting a primo bat for 65%. It's just a 2.9K salary as well. Looks good there. It makes sense to get that much. Yeah, the Blue Jays actually not that expensive here. That's kind of surprised. All of them hovering right around 3K for the best Blue Jays bats. Brandon Belt just 2.5K. So makes sense that we're getting to a lot of Blue Jays on FanDuel, also getting to a lot of Angels once again. Fernando Tatis looks like he's being used as a one-off. I guess we're getting to a good amount of the Pods overall as well. And then our top pitcher on FanDuel that we're getting exposure to, we're getting to 30% Kodai Senga. He is in Philadelphia, so it's a little bit of a tough spot. But from what I can tell, we don't have any pitchers that stand out as like pitchers that we love who are in safe spots. I mean, Chris Bassett facing Oakland is nice. But overall, most of our best pitchers here are not in the best spot. So you're going to be a little bit uncomfortable, it looks like, with whoever you're playing at pitcher here. 30% Kodai Senga. Looks like we're spreading it out a little bit. That makes sense to me. I think that's my preference, since there's no pitcher that I feel especially confident on this slate. I like that we are spreading out the ownership in this set of 20 lineups. I might just run with this one. If I were to do anything, I'd probably go back and get to a little bit less George Springer exposure, maybe get to a little bit more of the Angels or something, go to some different stacks rather than so much of the Blue Jays. But again, nitpicking, every lineup you're going to get from Lineup Generator is going to be a plus EV lineup. It's going to be profitable long term. That's going to do it for this video. Again, if you haven't done so, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Thank you guys very much for watching, and good luck tonight.